Yousif, we're in our, well, not final vehicle of our trip, but in probably the most interesting one. So where are we?
We're in the back of a Waymo robotaxi. So right now, this is a Jaguar I-Pace, a 2021 model. It's fitted with about £200,000 of LiDARs, cameras and imaging radars on all corners of the vehicle, so that it can operate fully without a driver in any scenario.
So this is level 4 autonomy. So this is actual, well, self-driving. I use a bit cautiously, but this is, you know, there is no one sat in the driver's seat. We'll show you lots of footage of it actually driving around. We've probably done 6-7 trips now, I think, so far today, going around. What's your initial impressions?
Initial impression, it's quite unremarkable, to be honest. It definitely drives safely, like a careful and confident driver, if a little bit overcautiously.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a careful and competent driver, not necessarily a good driver.
Yeah, or a progressive driver. But it's dealt with everything that has been thrown at it. It's gotten us where we need to go. It's got a few quirks, like it quite often isn't able to pick you up at your preferred location. You might have to walk a few minutes to a better location for the Waymo, and the same on drop-off. A lot of the time it'll kind of just stop in a busy street or struggle to find an open space to actually let you out the vehicle.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well that you've got to basically enable this in the Uber app. So you just use Uber as normal, but you've got to turn on autonomous driving, and then you don't pick the Waymo specifically. In order to increase your odds, you basically pick kind of the premium electric vehicle. But every time we've done that, we've got a Waymo, which implies there are probably a few around. We looked online and saw there was a comment that there might be around 100.
Yeah, we've seen some comments online that there are about 100. From the registration numbers, possibly there's more than 100. We have seen the same vehicle twice, so it's not impossible in our short trip. But yeah, most of the time we've been matched with a new vehicle. And can you tell me a bit more, Tom, about how it works? How do you actually start a ride?
Sure, so you just start any ride like you would in Uber. So you select your destination and it assigns you the vehicle. And then when the vehicle basically is approaching, you have to unlock the vehicle using the app. So you have to basically unlock the doors from the outside using your phone, which is quite interesting. Interestingly enough, the car does kind of just wait for you. We're not quite sure how long it would wait for, but we were just talking to some other people before we got in this one. And the car quite comfortably just sat there. But to your point earlier, Yousif, it did just sort of abandon itself on the side of the road waiting for us to get in.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not requiring too much. But in terms of usability, once you're actually inside the cabin, it welcomes you. You literally press start either inside the car or in the app. And then you can even turn on a function, and you maybe heard it earlier in the video, where it will basically tell you what it's doing. So if it's approaching a junction, even if it stops for a pedestrian, it will say, oh, giving way to pedestrian and things like that. So it kind of gives you a little bit more confidence that the car knows what it's doing. But in terms of usability, it's just like using an Uber. It's just like having a human driver, if you like, except there physically is not one.
Yeah, and in terms of those, rare events like pedestrians running out in front of the vehicle, we've seen a few of those in our short test drives, and the vehicle's dealt with all of them, without issue. I think, though, what I wonder is if this kind of system is really necessary. And the reason I say that is most of the scenarios we've seen, something like Tesla's full self-driving that's available on the Model Y or the Cybertruck, could handle most of these scenarios. I think there's only one scenario we saw that really it would struggle, where the Waymo was trying to find a parking space at the end of our ride, and there was a large a truck unloading from the tail lift. And the Waymo is actually able to spot the tail lift and move around it. And that's an example of a scenario where your cheaper system on a Tesla might not have the capability.
But I suppose the question is then, is the $200,000 worth of LiDAR worth that 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100,000?
Exactly, yeah. So it's really the philosophy, I guess, around what the system is supposed to do and how it's supposed to do it. Is it better to have a cheap system that's available mass market on lots and lots of cars that does 99% of scenarios, and the driver's only needed for that fallback or for that last mile when something really, really strange is going on? Or is it better to, really go for this true 100% safety approach with no fallback? And yeah, of course, which one is kind of economically viable at the end of the day?
It's all about commercial viability, and that's what we keep talking about. This car itself is very expensive to have, and there are lots of them. But maintaining the fleet is always going to be the maximum amount of cost.
Yeah.
And something that gets talked about a lot, but we don't know the actual true details, is this kind of remote operation / remote supervision of this vehicle. So we believe that they're in a control center somewhere, someone is basically watching this ride and they're making sure that the car is doing what it should do. Whether that one person is looking after 3 Waymos, 5 Waymos, 10, again, we've got no idea. So it kind of drives into that philosophy and whether or not it's actually commercially viable in the long run, because we pay the same for this trip as we do for a human driver trip. That is no way how much it costs Uber. This must be, or Waymo rather, this must cost them an awful lot more than that. So how it's going to play out in the long term, it's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and how it relates to insurance will also be very interesting to see. Because if we think about a traditional, risk model, how we would score a vehicle, this would perform awful in the damageability because it has a lot of externally mounted sensors that have a really high value and they're really easy to impact and damage. But you'll probably never have to repair this vehicle because the performance in terms of safety is so good, unless maybe it's vandalised or one of these rare cases or flooded.
Yeah.
So what is the real risk exposure, for a vehicle
so
like this?
It might be incredibly low frequency but incredibly high severity. And so how you kind of manage that, particularly in different cityscapes. It's probably worth mentioning actually that just driving around Atlanta slightly, it does remind me of London a little bit. I wouldn't say it's miles different. The infrastructure is kind of similar. The roads are obviously different, but it doesn't make me think, oh, this is going to be completely different when it comes to London. We obviously have a lot more cyclists and pedestrians walking around, but from what I've seen from this Waymo so far, it gives me confidence that it can respond.
Yep.
But again, in a much busier scenario, don't know.
Yeah, and I guess we'll find out next year when more of these driverless taxis are available on the UK. So it'll be interesting to see how Uber's operations expand in the UK and to include these type of vehicles, and we'll provide risk intelligence when they do.
No, we will, and we know that they're coming. I think that's the important part as well. This is true self-driving right here, and it's not kind of a hypothetical. It's not it's coming soon. We know it's happening. This is happening right now, and we've been talking about this technology for such a long time. It almost feels a bit silly, but having spent time actually in it now, I believe it more than ever. This kind of, to me, feels like this is going to happen. Whether it's big scale, small scale, whether it's successful or not, again, that's not for us to decide. But from speaking to a few people here and there, as we're kind of walking around Atlanta, trying to talk to people of the city, they love it. They all were very skeptical at the beginning. They all said, "Oh, we were worried about this, we were worried about that." But actually, it's so boring to them. It's become so normal so quickly, and it's only been available in Atlanta for about 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. So that consumer acceptance point that's often talked about doesn't seem to be a massive problem in implementation. Whether that's because the system is so good, there've been so few safety incidents, it's hard to tell. These are the things we need to track as more and more of these appear in the UK. So, thanks, Tom.
Great.
Signing out.